We begin CBS2 News at 5 with breaking news. Shots fired in Orange County.
That's right. A suspect is shot and killed during a confrontation with Santa Ana police officers.
And CBS2 Orange County reporter Stacey Butler is live on the scene at 1st Street and Cypress Avenue with late breaking information on a connection between this and a deadly shooting last week. Stacey?
Well, Pat and Jeff, this happened right behind me at a busy car wash near downtown Santa Ana. You can see the greenish silver Passat. That is the vehicle police say they have been looking for a week. Well, today they found it, and inside they say were two suspects possibly wanted in a murder investigation. Want to take you overhead to some aerials. This was shot just after 3 o'clock today. You can see just how many cars were parked at this busy car wash. Now, police shot at one suspect that they believed could possibly be involved in a murder from last week, and that one man was taken to a local hospital where he died, and another was taken into custody. Now, both of these men, police say, were wanted in connection to a murder that happened last Tuesday. It happened at a Shell station nearby, also in Santa Ana. Apparently, police say that this same car was involved in a carjacking and a murder. They murdered someone murdered a man in his 30s. The only connection police are giving us at this time is that this car they have been looking for over a week. And back out here live, they say behind me at this car wash after 3 o'clock, they found the car. Still looking for a lot more details involved in this. Luckily, even though this was busy here this afternoon, nobody else was hurt. This investigation continues. Back to you guys.
Okay, Stacey, thank you. We'll continue to follow that here on CBS2. Well, the new school year at LAUSD could be disrupted.
And that's because teachers are voting on whether to authorize a strike.
CBS2's Tina Patel is live at King Middle School in Silver Lake with the union battle and what is at stake at this hour. Tina?
Well, teachers at each LAUSD school still have to vote over the next few days, so we won't know whether a strike is authorized until next week. But even some of the teachers here who voted to strike say they're still hopeful that they can come to an agreement before walking out of the classroom. Teachers at King Middle School are taking the first step towards what they hope will get them a better contract, voting whether to authorize a strike if the district can't meet their demands.
I'm hoping that the district will finally step up and do mediation, what they've been refusing to do.
The teachers union and LAUSD reached an impasse this summer after negotiating for more than a year. They still can't agree on issues like raises and class size. Gregory Maley says right now he has classes with 38 students.
We're educated. We want to educate students. We don't want to babysit kids.
But some parents say if there's a strike, their kids won't get any education.
I think that if the union and the district were acting truly with the students' best interests in mind, there would be no strike.
Many families would have to struggle with childcare issues if their kids couldn't go to school.
I work from home. I'm accessible and available, but for the majority of Los Angeles families, that isn't the case.
That's why these parents hope the two sides can come back to the table so the children don't suffer.
We all deal with budgets in our homes. This is it's a little bigger, but this is no different.
Now, LAUSD put out a statement this afternoon saying they do not support a strike. They said, quote, they hope a shared responsibility to put students first will lead to a common sense resolution. They have agreed to sit down with the media at the end of next month, but it's unclear whether any negotiations will take place before that. Live in Silver Lake, Tina Patel, CBS2 News.
Over 1 million people right now in Hawaii already seeing the first signs of Hurricane Lane tonight. Category 4 storm expected to bring in violent flooding, big waves, and powerful winds.
Well, taking a look at the radar, it shows the storm approaching the Hawaiian Islands, and as you can see, it looks like a monster.
And tonight we do have team coverage, including CBS2's Lisa Siegel, who is right now at LAX, and Garth Kemp, who is tracking the storm's path.
But let's begin with our Crystal crew. She has the latest from the newsroom tonight. Crystal.
Hi, Pat and Jeff. This storm could be the first major hurricane to make landfall in over 25 years. Residents and tourists are scrambling to stock up on supplies as they prepare for the worst. Satellite images taken from space show the massive storm churning slowly in the Pacific Ocean towards Hawaii. Heavy rains have already flooded roads on the Big Island, and the worst may be yet to come. Forecasters warn the storm could drop as much as 30 inches of rain. All public schools are closed, and many state employees, they've been asked to stay home. Locals have been told to get a shelter ready and to have enough food and water to last for 2 weeks.
We urge the people that are in Hawaii right now to heed all the warnings, stay off the beach right now, stay out of the water.
This is not just going to be over in the next 24 hours. This system is going to be with us for the next 4 or 5 days.
I think it's going to be bad to an effect that us locals never experienced before.
And President Donald Trump issued a disaster declaration, and FEMA officials say it's gearing up to help Hawaiians. The Emergency Management Agency is already on the ground there. They've been there since the Kilauea volcano began erupting. I'm Crystal Cruz in the newsroom. Back to you guys in the studio.
Let's go now to CBS 2's Garth Kemp with the latest on the storm's track. Garth.
Yeah, we were talking about the rain yesterday, last night at 11. I said that would be the major problem. We were already starting to see rains there. We're already seeing the high winds as well, extending hurricane warning winds out at around 35 miles from the center. The eye wall now starting to get obscured by clouds. It is a Cat 3 or Cat 4 moving down right now at 130 miles an hour. So at another mile an hour, it will shear itself down just a little bit. It is running into wind shear. That's what we're watching. It's 275 miles south of Honolulu, about 200 south of the Big Island right now. So what we're looking at, obviously, are hurricane warnings up and running throughout the entire island chain. Up towards Kauai, they're under hurricane watches right now. But it is a slow-moving hurricane, 6 miles an hour. That is the problem. The next 24 hours, we'll start to see some decoupling at the base of this bad boy as it continues to move to the north. What we're watching for is a left-hand turn here that should be happening hopefully in 24 hours. The sooner the better. Right now, it's being rushed up just on the eastern edge or the western edge of a ridge of high pressure that's way offshore. What's going to happen is it gets pushed up to the north a little bit, then eventually it's going to start to move its way off to the west. The bigger problem with this also quickly is for Hawaii, Pat and Jeff. Remember, they got a lot of high rises. As you go up 25 stories, you could add on another category with those winds, the hurricane. So if it comes around at a Cat 2, that will make it a Cat 3. We're going to keep an eye on it very, very carefully. Back to you guys.
All right, we'll check back in with you in just a few minutes, Garth. Now, despite the fact the storm is moving in and many people are trying to escape, others are actually headed to the islands. CBS 2's Lisa Siegel continues our team coverage at LAX, where she spoke to those travelers. Lisa.
Well, Pat, here at LAX, it's really business as usual. Behind me, no flight disruptions yet from Hurricane Lane. And while some are happy to be home, others are happy to head out.
But we have heavy rains a lot. Like, I had it before. And, like, I'm hoping that it just passes by.
Anne Fries is headed home to Hawaii and bringing her granddaughter Mimi back with her for vacation, even though Hurricane Lane is already making waves.
We've been through 2 hurricanes since 1972, and we have a lot of hurricane warnings. Very often it gets diverted, it passes us by.
The hurricane is already bringing with it high surf, rain, winds, and flooded roads. People flying into Hawaii could face this: long gas lines and empty shelves at grocery stores. This is what it looks like in Lahaina. Boarded up windows as far as the eye can see. Are you worried going in?
A little bit, yes and no, a little bit. Not enough to cancel our trip, obviously.
The Sims family from Yorba Linda is also heading to Hawaii for a family trip they planned a month ago.
Not too worried about it. If the airplane can make it, we can make it, and I'm sure it'll be just as fun a couple days from now once the rain passes.
But this woman from New Jersey wasn't taking any chances, landing at LAX first and cutting their family vacation short.
We were supposed to be there until the 30th, and we were only there for 3 days. We just figured, let's just try to get ourselves out of a dangerous situation.
But Anne Fries is ready for what's ahead. She feels safe to fly out with her granddaughter and plans to be even safer back at home.
We've evacuated many times, and nothing happened. So we just keep our fingers crossed and wait to hear.
Now, a spokesperson for LAX told me while there are no delays or cancellations yet, if you do plan on traveling, make sure you're in contact with your airline just in case. At LAX, I'm Lisa Siegel, CBS 2 News.
Very good advice, Lisa. Thank you. On to other news at this hour. More concerns tonight for the White House. There are reports today another Trump ally is cooperating now with investigators.
And CBS 2 political reporter Dave Bryan is here with more information on who's now talking to authorities about so-called hush money.
That's right, and the president not a happy camper either about his friends talking. The Wall Street Journal reports the president's longtime friend and publisher of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, has been granted immunity to tell what he knows. Subpoenas were reportedly served at the tabloid's LA offices. The news comes hours after the president complained about his associates flipping. Just 2 days after President Trump's former lawyer, Michael Cohen, claimed under oath that Mr. Trump directed him to pay women to stay quiet about alleged affairs, the president is downplaying the charges.
Campaign violations are considered not a big deal, frankly.
In an interview with Fox and Friends, the president accused Cohen of making things up to reduce his own sentence.
It's called flipping, and it almost ought to be illegal.
Now there's word another longtime friend has flipped. The Wall Street Journal reporting the CEO of the National Enquirer, David Pecker, told federal prosecutors that candidate Trump knew all about Cohen's payments to keep women quiet about their alleged affairs with Trump. Pecker, who was reportedly a key player in the effort to protect Trump from embarrassing stories, also was reported to have provided details on those payments, which Cohen says Trump directed. It was just last month Cohen released secret audio recordings about the payments that appeared to reference Pecker. Court filings say Cohen and Pecker helped suppress stories that could damage then-candidate Trump. The tactic is known as catch and kill. Stories involved Playboy playmate Karen McDougal and porn star Stormy Daniels. Meanwhile, President Trump is also getting pushback for his renewed criticism of Attorney General Jeff Sessions, who recused himself from the Russia investigation.
I put an Attorney General that never took control of the Justice Department.
Sessions shot back in a statement Thursday saying, "While I am Attorney General, the actions of the Justice Department will not be improperly influenced by political considerations." That was a direct shot across the bow of President Trump. Now, one more note on the David Pecker story. The Associated Press reporting this evening that the National Enquirer, which did flashy front-page stories ripping other politicians like Hillary Clinton and Ted Cruz, instead protected Trump by storing damaging Trump stories in a secret safe, reportedly at Pecker's direction. Pat, back to you.
All right, thank you for that, Dave Bryan. Now to more politics, this time in our own backyard. A Southern California congressman and his wife were in court today on charges they illegally used campaign money for personal expenses. Representative Duncan Hunter and his wife Margaret arrived to court separately in San Diego. They both pleaded not guilty. The indictment accuses the couple of using $250,000 in campaign funds on trips to Italy and Hawaii, on theater tickets, and even tequila shots at a bachelor party. It claims they overdrew their checking accounts 1,100 times over 7 years.
There's nothing illegal about being poor. Okay? I don't think there's anything illegal about not having money in your bank account.
Protesters chanted, "Lock him up," and Duncan Hunter has got to go. House Speaker Paul Ryan says he's removing Hunter from committee assignments. Hunter, who also represents parts of Riverside County, says the case against him is politically motivated. And coverage of today's political news continues at 6:30 on the CBS Evening News with Jeff Glor.
Well, imagine this. A charter school in Eagle Rock is closed. Parents who came to drop off their kids today turned away.
Well, later we will hear from some of those outraged parents.
Plus, tragedy this morning in Orange County when almost a dozen cars involved in a chain reaction crash, leading to the death of a young mother.
Also, the medical examiner reveals what caused the death of murdered Iowa College student Molly Tibbetts.
Also, a woman shot on the Santa Monica Pier, why investigators tonight are still trying to figure out exactly what happened.